Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
This is Ed Cohen. This is April 8, 2021. It's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Nancy. So I'm in Southern California. Julie Taylor from the bridgeschool.net is also in Southern California. And we're joined by Chase Eskelsen from Verano, Learning Partners in Dallas. So welcome, guys, to Global TV once again. I'm really happy to have you. So you're all about online learning, fully accredited for 20 years plus. And I imagine, Julie, that this is one of the busiest times you've ever had. Is that correct?
It sure is. And there has been just a world of change in education throughout the entire globe this past year. And many schools who historically have maybe not embraced the idea of online education have really been forced to look at that. And so that has really changed the narrative of education around the globe.
Yeah, interesting. So we want to talk about picking up for lost time or lost energy or lost attention, and the summer school idea and tutoring, that kind of thing. And Chase, welcome again. Chase, tell us a little bit about Verano and what is your mission?
Yeah, Verano Learning Partners is an education nonprofit. We're based out of the Phoenix area. And our mission, our vision is just to give a great digitally based education foundation. You can see our tagline here, elevating student learning experience through hybrid and virtual solutions. And our goal is just to take what we know and what we've been doing for 20 plus years now, which is that digital component, that digital infrastructure in education, and to pair that with the very best of the in-person experience and cram those two together and give kids new and innovative ways to continue learning.
So we see that you partner with these really fine specialty services like Strong Mind and the SEAL Foundation and iCode. Would you do a quick deep dive on each of those for a sec, just so our audience gets it quickly, and then we'll go into our program?
Sure. Yeah. So the first one we'll jump in is Strong Mind. It's a strategic partnership that we've had for many, many years. They provide the digital infrastructure for a lot of our schools. So for instance, they're our curriculum provider. They do both product and services for full-time online, hybrid schools, and they can support a myriad of different things. So we've decided that they're a perfect partnership for us to join with. The other was iCode, and we've had iCode on the show here with you before. We had Mike Myers, who's the president or chief operating officer, can't remember his exact title, but the guy that runs iCode. And iCode is like I say this very lovingly, but it's like karate for computer nerds. It's fantastic. It's the exact same thing where instead of a belt around their waist, like they do in karate, it's a lanyard around their neck, and they work through the belts for, from white, yellow, red, all the way up through a master black belt. And over the course of those belts, they will be fluent in 7 different programming languages. So it's a very cool program. We've partnered it up. We have one location that we've partnered up with our Valor Preparatory Academy, which is in Goodyear, Arizona. And then the SEAL Future Foundation. This is a really special program that we've partnered with. Their main focus is taking the Navy SEALs when they're coming back from deployment and when they're leaving the SEAL teams and entering into, what we would call normal life. But this is the team that they say, okay, we're going to help you. We're going to transition you from that military team mentality into the workforce and back into civilian life. And they are doing amazing things for these veterans as they're coming home. And it's been a really great partnership for us. Amazing story. I would encourage anyone out there listening, go check out SEAL Future Foundation. And they've got some great stories on their website. I would highly encourage you to check them out.
Great. Thank you, Chase, for doing that. So in the iCode, is it capable for, is it geared for somebody my age as well as kids?
Yeah, so right now, our location in Arizona is for kinder through 12th grade. However, I was on a call with Mike a couple of weeks ago, and they're working through the adult programming version right now. So we're hoping sometime in the near future to launch the adult program as well. I'll let you know once it launches.
So are you looking forward to summer school stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that you and I had talked about recently was that time cover piece that talks about, the missing year as it pertains to children's education. And I think all students across the globe, from kindergarten to 12th grade and beyond, even in college, have experienced some kind of trauma over this past year, whether it's the loss of sports or whether it's the loss of that social interaction. It's been a very tough year, both in education, social, emotional. It's been a really tough year for everybody, but especially for those students that maybe don't have the tools yet to understand the struggles that they're going through. And so when we are looking and talking about this the lost year, we really need to look at the needs of the entire student. And, talking through summer school, we do have options, and many schools across the globe are offering some type of summer programs to keep the students engaged. As the world is starting to open back up, we want to try to remediate some of that lost instruction. So for the Bridge School, we are actually offering courses throughout the summer where students can enroll in one course if they want. It can be something that they are interested in. It can be an elective just to keep their minds fresh and going. Or, some students are looking for some credit recovery. So maybe they really struggled with the format that their school was presenting this school year, and they weren't able to pass their courses. So we are offering some credit recovery courses for high schoolers. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we do have students who are still on that track for graduation, and they really want to advance and accelerate their credits. So they might want to get ahead and graduate early. And then this year, we actually have this unique pocket of students who they might have passed their class this year, so they got a passing grade, but that course is a foundational level course for their next level. So maybe in math or a foreign language, they passed it, but they really didn't quite understand it. So they want to take it again to really understand the concepts before they move on to that next level in the fall.
So application is perfect, isn't it? So we talked about your mission and what parents should look for. with you. And if you want to add to that, or let's just review again before we go forward. So when parents are searching for school alternatives, they want to know what your mission is, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for parents, to look at many different things when they're choosing a school, and mission is just one of them. So, Chase and I like to talk about parents' choice and students' choice in education. And that is so important, that students and parents have the ability to choose the program that's best for them. And so one of the things that Chase actually co-authored a blog a while back that we have on our website, and it's talking about, questions to ask when choosing an international school, but they're valid for choosing any school, quite honestly. And one of those is what is the mission of the school? We have a lot of different types of high schools across the globe. Some of them are trying to prepare students for, tech schools, and they're very career-focused high schools. We have high schools that are, looking at those high Ivy League colleges, and they are offering very only honors level courses and above, and their expectations are very high. On the other side, we also offer, there's schools out there that are looking to help the students that are at risk of not graduating. And they're really looking at unique and creative ways and solutions to help these students graduate and get a high school diploma. So whatever the students' needs are, there are schools out there that will help cater to those needs and help get the student to graduation.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
What's the size of the classes?
In our school, so the Bridge School is very unique. So unlike maybe some of the district schools or charter school partnerships, where they're in a class of, 30, sometimes up to 100 students in a Zoom session, the Bridge School is self-paced. And what that means is that students are able to go through the curriculum at their own pace. They can do school on the weekend. They can do it during the week. They can set up their calendar in whatever way meets their own needs and their family's needs. So that has been a huge benefit for our students, being able to work their school in around maybe work or sports that they are involved in, and different time zones too.
So what about the teachers? Do you have a problem with turnover?
So Chase, do you want to talk about that like as a whole, as a more organizationally as a whole?
Yeah, I'm proud to say with the Bridge School, we had 100% retention last year. So it was fantastic. I will make sure to pump our benefits there. But I think it's important that these are questions that parents should be asking, and you're asking all the right questions. As you're looking at a school, and that it might be the Bridge School, it might not be, you know. When you were talking earlier, Julie, about the mission, I remember when I was in school, this was a long time ago, as in elementary school, maybe middle school, I can't remember now. I lived in Southern California, Long Beach area. And my parents enrolled me not in the closest school to the house, but they enrolled me in a public magnet school, which those are really big in California. You don't see those so many around this area in Texas, but it was specific to creative writing. Like that was their focus. They wanted to be the school focused on people coming in and doing just really creative things. And so I had what I thought, having come from another school previously, like all we do is English. And I don't love English, but I loved the creative writing aspect. And so it was really interesting. So that was their mission. And around me, all of my peers they were creative people. It was a very different and unique feel, but that mission permeated that school. We wrote books together. We wrote short stories. We wrote essays. We read a lot. And, you know, we got engaged with a lot of different things. So asking what the mission is, that's the right question.
Well, I'll tell you, that sounds like it was really enjoyable.
Oh, my goodness. You know, having a teacher who we read the book, The K, and I think this might actually be one of the books that's canceled nowadays, but we read the book, The K, and it was so eye-opening because I'd never read anything like that before. And if you've ever read it, you know that one of the characters has a pretty thick accent, and they used the speech in the book, the text, to show how it would have sounded when he was talking. And I read it the first time. I said, I have no idea what's happening in this book. And so one of the courses was, you've got to read this one out loud. You can't just read this one in your mind because you got to hear it, and you just got to kind of sound some of those words out. It changed the way that I thought about how letters work together because it was so unique now. Now I'm not just reading a book. I'm transported to this island. Perfect. And I can see the guy. I can feel the way that he's talking. I can experience the wind blowing through the trees now. Completely changed the way that I read books, the way that I think about texts. And it was fantastic. That's it right there. The K by Theodore Taylor. Phenomenal book. And it changed the way that I've done education ever since.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, for doing that. So Chase, we used to live in Mission Beach, San Diego Mission Beach, and which is, you know, beach, flip-flops, flip-flop on in, you know, so, or out. No, but anyway, the schools there during wartime, they were loaded with kids. You know, the military was nearby and the Navy. And then they all went away, right? So schools just sat there. So anyway, the magnet school idea came into Mission Beach for music, all right, from all over the city of San Diego, which was quite far-flung. But, I mean, music coming out of this place, you'd think you're in a Rolling Stone concert or something. It was really phenomenal. Good. So anyway, I get it. Okay, so, yeah. And of course, technology, you guys are into that.
Yeah, technology. That's such an interesting question for a parent to ask, because some parents really value that in-person experience. Well, maybe not as much nowadays as they were back in 2019, but I think there's a deeper question to ask on top of that. And this is both for your traditional school, as well as your full-time online school, as well as your hybrid school. And that's, how much time is my kid going to sit behind a computer? And we've talked about that on this show before. And I think Julie and I both agree, sitting behind a computer for 8 hours, that's not good for kids. That's not healthy. That's not mentally good for kids. They need to be experiencing and feeling and touching and reading and walking and running and playing and jumping. There's all these different things that need to happen in order for a student to learn. And so there's several questions that we should be asking about technology. Is how prevalent is it? Julie, I laughed the other day. I was in a school and they were saying, "Oh, we're so technologically advanced at this school." And I said, "Oh, great. Tell me, why is that?" And they said, "Oh, we're a one-to-one campus." And Ed, that's education talk for each student gets a Chromebook. And I thought, that was innovative 15 years ago. I don't think that's innovative anymore. And they were just so happy about it. So I think asking what is the role of technology, if it's just to fill out the same PDF worksheet that they would have done on paper, again, you're not using technology. It's just a new worksheet, an old worksheet in a new format. So asking some of those questions, really, really important from a technology perspective.
I actually had a conversation with one of my teachers just yesterday, and it was about, her own daughter. Her daughter is in 6th grade, and that she has chosen, because of sports and because of friends, to keep her in her local school. And their version of moving their curriculum online is a 15-page PDF packet that the student accesses online in a Google Classroom. And she's explaining to me that this PDF, the way it was uploaded, is sideways. And the tools that they gave them don't allow the students to print them off. It doesn't allow them to change the rotation. Like that, and this teacher is very tech savvy. Her husband is very tech savvy. And for them to be spending an hour plus trying to help their daughter even access the curriculum was just so incredibly frustrating. And I think that's the point where many schools around the globe are at right now, is these teachers, and I have to tell you, the teachers are working extremely hard. They are burnt out. Like, this has been a hard year on teachers around the globe. So this is not a bash on teachers. This comes down to training and being thrown into something and putting these unrealistic expectations on the teachers without the proper tools or training. And so, that it's a really tough thing out there right now. And teachers around the globe are trying to figure out, okay, so now we have this back and forth. Sometimes we're in person in a classroom, but then, this one particular school that I talked to had spring break, and then they did virtual learning the week after spring break. They wanted everybody to quarantine because lots of families were traveling. So now the teachers are trying to bounce back and forth between an in-person curriculum and a virtual component. And it is messy. It is messy, and it's not a good learning experience.
So what do you do with advanced students? Julie?
Can I jump in, Julie?
Oh,
Ed, I'm really excited to share some information. I'll give you the sneak peek today, and then once all the paperwork is signed, I'm going to have this person join us on the show. But the Bridge School is signing an agreement to get dual credit opportunities, college level courses from college instructors at our school. And I'm right here. I'm looking at it. It says updated contract. All the edits were made. Please sign on the dotted line. So that's probably going to happen today. But in the near future, we're going to talk about this, invite them onto the show. We're incredibly excited about this opportunity. Now, that has probably only a little bit to do with the question that you asked, and I'll let Julie answer the rest of the question, but it's very exciting for us to share with you.
Julie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of different opportunities for our advanced students. We do offer a wide variety of honors level courses throughout our high school and middle school. In addition, we offer AP level courses, which AP level courses are college level courses that students can take in high school that have the potential to be worth college credit if they, go through the series of steps and pass the exam and et cetera. So we do offer those opportunities. Additionally, I recently had a student come to me and ask, hey, I'm putting in a lot of time working at a ballet studio. She's a former ballerina who, because of an injury, can no longer perform, but she is able to be an instructor. So she has this part-time job as an instructor, and she's like, is there any way I can get credit for this as a job that I'm doing? And so we are working now with her in this passion that she loves, and to be able to offer work study credits for her and come up with a plan on how we can offer those types of credits.
Excellent. Boy, that's exciting. So what is SEL? What does that mean?
SEL stands for social emotional learning. And that's been big this year. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, our students have struggled this year. They don't have necessarily the tools to understand all the emotions and all of the struggles and hardships that they've lost in this past year. And so the social emotional curriculum is so important because what it does is it allows students in bite-sized pieces to see a situation from an outside perspective, and it might be something very similar to what they're going through, and it offers them some solutions. And so in, a 5 to 10 minute lesson, we can assign students these little bite-sized lessons, or they can search them on their own. And what it does is students can look at parental conflict. They can do searches, parental conflict, and then they can watch a little lesson on, how can I deal with this? What are some real tools that I can use to deal with this? Or maybe it's social media. How do I deal with bullying online? And, they can look at some of these different topics and in bite-sized pieces, get the tools that can help them right then and there.
So you just mentioned parental conflict, and that led me to think, well, first of all, what is that? But of course, I have my own ideas and my own experience. but parent advocacy. I mean, parents are involved, right? They're really concerned, and the more information you share about your own operations and your teachers and your lesson planning and all this stuff, and making sure the students are getting it. That, I think, is what we've learned from you on past shows here. Would you like to just review a little bit as we spring forward?
Yeah. Chase, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. Parent advocacy is so vital. And as a parent, I didn't understand it before becoming a parent. But then when you look down and you see, little Johnny sitting next to you, and you think, man, I'm gonna do everything in my power to fight for this kid and for them to have the best opportunity possible. I think the premier parent advocate in the entire nation right now is Tilly Elvrum. And I believe we had Tilly on this show once to talk about it. So yes, if you're watching this and you want to know more, please go back and watch the Tilly Elvrum episode. But you will be the best advocate for your student. You know your student better than the teacher knows the student, better than the principal knows your student, better than the guidance counselor. You know what your kiddo needs. And so you can be the greatest advocate and benefactor for your kid. And you should be. I would highly encourage you to get involved and to stay involved with the school and volunteer time and get to know the people and stand up for children. I think we even had Tamara Becker on one show, and she talked about how to advocate for your student with special needs. I think she was on with Inga Cotton. And, there's a whole nother world to that, but it's so vital that you stand up for your kiddo and you fight for them. I mean, ultimately, So
I just want to add a production note here. What Paul and I are going to be doing is taking this series that we've been doing the past year and grouping them into under headlines as to what the viewer, what the audience will find from looking here and not looking here. And so the shows that you just talked about will be sequential, and with your approval, before we launch it next month, we'd like to really become a resource library to support whatever you guys are doing. It's so valuable.
Well, oh, we appreciate that so much, and we're just happy to play a part. I think, Julie, sorry, I'm going to speak for you as well, but I think our heart is really, we just want to be helpful to parents, be helpful to students, be helpful to educators. Julie, we stole her from another organization, and she's the teacher trainer. That's what she did. And I'm just so proud that we can offer that to some of our support staff and to our team, how to be the absolute best teacher possible, especially in a digital format. And the staff that we've hired around our schools is just phenomenal. And any way that we can help, please feel free to reach out and let us know how we can help you or help you as a parent or however it is.
So this is April 8th. The vaccine is getting out there, and apparently it's working. And so things are beginning to open up. And so that means schools are going to be opening, and not all at once, I guess. And I don't know, but that means parents are going to not be hovering as much because there'll be separation. Now, some people will relish that, but what do you see your role now is? It's changing post-COVID.
It is, but I would also argue that it's not, and I'll explain why. I think, in 2019, educators loved to talk about equity. And then 2020 happened, and we have seen the biggest inequity in education that I've ever seen. It was treated so poorly in so many places, and there was huge disparities between different schools and different groups. And you look at now in Arizona, our hybrid program, we've been open since last August. In Ohio, we've been open since last September, and we've been doing what we believe is the best for these students. Now, we've taken all the safety precautions into place. We've had no outbreaks. We've had no big problems. But then you compare that to New York and Los Angeles and some of these other areas where they're just now opening, and the opening that they're giving is such a terrible experience compared to what students had pre-COVID. So I think we are going to see some major shifts again as we see people going back and forth and figuring this whole thing out. With that said, I think our position, where we have the digital infrastructure, right? We've had that foundation for so long. It was really easy for us to transition. I think you're going to see a lot of schools trying to still figure this out, and you're going to see a lot of problems even into next year, where the opportunities that kids have at an in-person experience are still not going to be what students need and should be getting. So it's pretty frustrating to see how poorly some of these things have been rolled out, and the fact that you have different groups, special interest groups, fighting to keep kids out of school. What? That's crazy talk. When we've seen it all over the country, people being in school all year long, and then there's the adults are fighting over silliness instead of getting kids back to school. So I would encourage those of you with kiddos, find a school that's open and get your kids there, because they're going to be less affected by the lost year that's going to continue into next year, unfortunately. I don't know, Julie, you may have more to add to that, but I feel very strongly about that piece of it.
One thing that I would add to that is that I'm finding that schools across the globe right now are trying to plan for next year, and they're seeing a large percentage of their population that don't want to return to in-person instruction for various reasons. It could range from, these high school students are starting to get jobs, and they like to have the freedom in their schedule to schedule it and do school whenever they want. And they've tasted that. To parents who are still concerned about COVID and don't want to send their students back. So there's a wide range of this, but there's school districts that are now having to think, okay, this year was a mess, and how can we make it for next year to not lose these students? So these big districts don't want to lose the students to online schools, right? So they're trying to figure out how they can implement an online solution that their students can opt into. And so you're seeing a lot more partnerships between traditional district schools and online curriculum providers. And that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing that trend really skyrocket right now.
Good, thank you. Chase, how can people learn more from you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, definitely. Our website is verano.org, O-R-G, and we're pretty active on social media, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. So you can hit us up any of those ways, but verano.org is the best place to get the most information.
And what's coming up on Cutting Edge?
The Cutting Edge. Oh, man. We've got some great shows coming up. We've got Inga Cotton, who was on your show recently. She'll be joining us, as well as we've got some really interesting ideas around ESAs. I don't think we've talked about ESAs much on this show. Maybe we should do a show about this in the future, but education savings accounts, and where parents can access the funds that the U.S. government has set aside for those kiddos, and then they can use them in the way that best meets the student's needs. It's an interesting idea. Several states are passing legislation right now that allow for this. And there are some very few international locations that are giving some kind of option like this. But we've got Corey DeAngelis, who he's a premier think tank guy. He's on the cutting edge, if you will, of education policy, and he's going to be joining to talk about that.
Chase, as we look at the end of the show coming in a minute, I want to thank you guys for the past year. It's been just about a year, and we look forward, hopefully, to having you back every week.
Thanks, Ed. See ya.
Thank you. This is Ed in Southern California signing off. Global TV Talk Show.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.